Tonight, Toronto police will be increasing its presence at TTC stations in the wake of 2 random attacks.
I felt an impunction on my neck right here.
The mayor reassuring riders that TTC is still safe, but says more officers will be stationed in the transit system in the coming days and weeks. Plus,
parents are counting on us to build safe, state-of-the-art classrooms.
the Ford government promising $500 million to build and improve schools, but some say it does nothing to alleviate the massive backlog of ones in desperate need of repairs. And
they don't have much income, so they were relying on that, money.
2 Bank of Montreal customers say they are out thousands of dollars after their accounts were accessed without authorization. Why the bank is not returning their money. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. There will be a stronger police presence at TTC stations after 2 unprovoked attacks on subway platforms this week. The mayor reassuring riders the TTC is still safe after holding a meeting with Toronto Police and the TTC today, but says more officers will be stationed along the transit system in the coming days and weeks. Ardell Manukduk has more.
I felt an impunction on my neck right here.
Mario Greco was stabbed 2 days ago on the St. George subway platform. He was at the end of a first date. It took a moment to process.
This is not a hospital. This is a subway station. And I looked and I saw that it was the man who sat behind my date.
Toronto police have charged 23-year-old Dante Easterbrook with assault with a weapon. A few days before that, a woman was pushed onto the tracks at Bloor Yonge Station. 2 random attacks within a week, putting TTC safety front and center. Today, Mayor John Tory reassuring riders after a meeting with the police chief and TTC CEO, stating the system is safe. That is demonstrated in the hundreds of millions of riders who use the system every year without incident. Police say they aren't seeing a spike of violent incidents on the TTC. Despite that, they say they will be increasing their presence in the transit system. The TTC has also said it's on track, hiring 56 more special constables. It says during the pandemic, more people have been using the subway stations as shelter.
So we were actually out in the system getting people the help that they needed. Unfortunately, with some of those social issues, there can be violent incidents.
In his statement, Mayor Tory says these incidents can often be traced back to mental health issues. But Susan Davis with the Gerstein Crisis Center says those 2 things shouldn't be lumped together.
Individuals living with mental health and substance needs are no more likely to be violent than the general population and at more risk of being victims of violence.
She says better supports are needed first and foremost.
People living with mental health needs have often felt over-policed in their time, and often when police are in their presence, they don't necessarily feel safer. They may actually perceive greater risk. If we're going to look at the mental health issue, I think we have to understand it in a more complex kind of way, where access to the services and the supports and the treatments that people need are actually available to them.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
A man has died after being struck by a truck in Brampton tonight. This is a look at the scene at Bouvard Drive and Kennedy Road. Police were called for reports of a pedestrian struck at around 6:30. They arrived to find a man in his 70s with critical injuries. He was rushed to hospital but did not survive. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene. The intersection has been closed for several hours for the investigation, and police are appealing for witnesses or anyone with dashcam video to contact them. Ontario's education minister announcing $500 million in spending today to help create nearly 16,000 new classroom spaces. But it comes at a time when critics say the schools the province already has are sliding further into disrepair. Chris Glover has the story.
And this is exciting news for families.
The education minister at a school in Oakville today announcing $500 million to support building 37 school projects across Ontario.
This is momentum, this is progress, this is what getting things done looks like for families in Oakville and for families across our province.
The Toronto District School Board doesn't yet know how much of that money it's getting. The province says it'll release project details in the near future.
Part of the solution is definitely new school buildings, and we're supportive of that.
While the parents group Fix Our Schools applauds the new buildings, it worries about the $1.4 billion the minister says is going to repair Ontario's 5,000 schools every year, a figure that's remained stagnant for 6 years.
We have concrete proof that $1.4 billion per year is allowing disrepair to grow every year. And that's not good governance of our buildings.
If provincial school repair funding stays the same, the TDSB's backlogged repair bill alone is projected to balloon to almost $5 billion by 2025.
If you have an older building, you have a higher repair backlog. If we were able to replace some of these buildings, our backlog would go down.
School trustee Robin Pilkey says while many TDSB schools are full, others are not. And district-wide, there's a surplus of student spaces. As a result, the TDSB is not eligible to access educational development charges, fees developers pay to offset the potential students new buildings bring. But the TDSB also can't close redundant schools to try to become eligible due to a province-wide moratorium on closing Ontario schools. The moratorium is still in place.
Oh my God, don't get me going.
The moratorium and then also the educational development charges.
Cutting straight to my heart, Chris.
Pilkey says as a result, the problem of schools remaining in disrepair is going to continue.
You're like, damned if you do, if you damned if you don't. Like, why are we keeping all these schools open? We should get rid of them. Oh, we're not allowed to do that.
In fact, new data from the TDSB Facility Condition Index shows for 22 Toronto schools, it would be more costly to repair the school than to tear it down and build a new one. And yet they remain while the province announces it's building new ones. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
Sunwing says they hope to be close to normal operations by this weekend, but some lingering issues remain for passengers trying to travel out of Pearson Airport.
What we've been told is this is yesterday's flights that they're still trying to clear out. And then theoretically, we're the first one on queue. After that, the frustration is twofold. Number one is it's 4 days in now, so you should have some kind of a game plan. And number two is the utter complete lack of transparency.
It's been great. We thought we might have huge delays, but this was our first day to come out, travel, and the Sunwing's been great. They've been moving us along.
So some passengers having a smoother experience today. The company that provides the check-in services for Sunwing was hit by a cyber breach last weekend, leading to long lines and flight delays. In an update tonight, Sunwing says that 81% of impacted flights have been completed or are in progress. All right, meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Colette, the day started out cloudy, a bit rainy, but then took a turn later on with the sunshine coming out.
Yeah, just so nice. And once it started clearing, we really saw that happen very rapidly. And it's kind of interesting across the province, or at least this portion of the province that we're looking at here with the daytime highs, because these are not necessarily from the afternoon hours. They are in the case of Toronto and Oshawa. Once we got that clearing, then that's when things really popped up with the temperature. And Windsor, with more sunshine throughout the day, you know, you saw this system leave you early, got up to 19 degrees. But Ottawa, for example, 12. That came in the morning hours because they had the sun for that part of the day, and then the temperature actually fell into the single digits into the afternoon. So, hey, we get most of this clearing out tonight, a few exceptions there along the St. Lawrence River Valley and through the Ottawa Valley, but otherwise the big setup for tomorrow is to have a lot of sunshine through most of the day, a nice looking Friday, northwesterly breeze, a little cool, and then this next system late in the day starts having an impact on southwestern Ontario very late in the day. I'm going to talk more about that coming up because we've got to take you through your weekend. Tonight for Toronto 3, and tomorrow, how about sunny skies and 14 degrees, Kelda?
I like that. Thanks so much, Colette. Russia announcing sanctions today against a long list of Canadians. Those on the list will be prohibited from entering Russia indefinitely. Included in the ban are Premier Doug Ford and Mayor John Tory. In a statement, the mayor says no sanctions will ever stop or diminish my support for peace, democracy, and the rule of law, my support for Ukraine, my support for the people of Ukraine, and my support for the Ukrainian Canadian community here in Toronto. The Premier's office releasing this statement. Premier Ford has been clear. Ontario stands with the people of Ukraine, and our support will never waver. A candlelight vigil was held at Nathan Phillips Square tonight in honor of the children who have lost their lives in Ukraine. Hundreds of candles were lit representing the number of children who have been killed in the war to date. According to officials, more than 260 children have been killed since the war began. Those who attended tonight's event were asked to donate soft toys for the Ukrainian children who have recently arrived in Canada as refugees. An Oshawa couple who refused to leave war-torn Ukraine before the adoption of their 2 children was finalized are now home. That family sat down with Natalie Collada to share their story.
I was really worried that they were scared we weren't going to come back for them.
Parents often say they'd do anything for their children.
Whoa.
Darren and Eliza Mathura spent 130 days in Europe and a month living in a country at war for theirs.
I didn't expect it to feel like this was our family right from the beginning, but the minute we met the boys, these were our kids.
The couple went to Ukraine at the end of 2021 to adopt 8-year-old Valek and his 6-year-old brother Ivan.
I cried. I cried that day, and I cried the day that the judge said yes. After that, it was just a matter of getting them out.
But that wouldn't prove as simple as originally thought. On February 24th, war broke out when Russia invaded Ukraine. Offices closed, martial law in effect.
I think I heard sirens almost every night for a little while. Once you've heard it once, it's not a sound that actually leaves your head.
As the war raged, the couple didn't give up.
Our facilitator said if we're not able to come back into the country, we would lose the kids. It wasn't an option.
For more than a month, they furiously tried to gather all the documents they could to bring them to Canada. And finally, on March 30th, all 4 boarded a plane. All of it worth it for moments like this. A future together. A family forever.
Just happy, just like it's like complete now. What we've been waiting for so long for. And that's the reason why we stayed. Because as I always told her, you never leave your family behind, right?
Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. 2 Bank of Montreal customers say they want better online security from the bank after their accounts were accessed and thousands of dollars e-transferred out. The customers are adamant they kept their accounts secure, but the bank is not giving them the money back. Angelina King reports.
My mom trusted the Bank of Montreal.
That's why all her savings, $10,000 worth, were in her bank account. But for the last 6 months, Lan Wang has been trying to get that money back after someone mysteriously accessed her account and e-transferred it out.
It's very tough for them, and they don't have much income, so they were relying on that money.
You can see there are 1, 2, 3.
Just over a month later, someone took cash advances out on Jetty Huang's BMO credit card, transferred the money to his account, then e-transferred out $7,400.
This is a huge amount of money. It's a really, really terrible burden to my family.
Now he's stuck with a bill he can't afford to pay while interest gathers.
I checked my credit scores. It's from very high to very low.
He says he only had the credit card for emergencies and says BMO should have noticed the suspicious activity and alerted him. Both customers want BMO to pay the money back. In both instances, BMO said it wouldn't reverse the transactions because their accounts were logged into with the right passwords and security codes, and the IP address linked to the activity matched theirs. But Wang and Huang are adamant that their devices are secure. A virus scan showed their computers are clear and they don't share their passwords. Their experience shows just how difficult it can be for bank customers to prove that a breach wasn't their fault, and comes at a time when Canada's banking ombudsman says e-transfer fraud is a growing concern.
There's so many ways that it can be compromised.
This privacy and security expert says in Wang and Huang's cases, it's likely someone gained remote access to their computers.
That's a truly scary sort of approach, because then it's not just your banking that's exposed, it's everything that you've got on there.
Wang filed a report with Toronto police and says the case is being transferred to BC, where investigators believe the suspected fraudster opened an account. BMO wouldn't answer CBC's questions, citing privacy reasons, but said while protecting customers' accounts is its primary focus, clients are also responsible. But the customers say they won't be banking there much longer.
I have other banks making me more comfortable.
Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
How do you give a lion a needle? The answer, very carefully and with lots of treats. At least that's the approach of Toronto Zoo staff as they work to vaccinate at-risk animals against COVID-19.
I'm going to be trying to reinforce it for doing tail movement. This is just one of the behaviors that we're working on.
Getting the animals used to inspections, working with them to make presenting parts of their body positive and rewarding, so we can deliver inoculations, we can inspect to make sure everything looks the way it should.
The zoo received about 320 vaccines last month donated by Zoetis. So far, about half of the animals due to get the shot have their first dose. Now they're working on second doses and possibly even boosters. And you are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, mainly clear tonight, remaining that way overnight. Currently a very comfortable 12 degrees in the city. All right, let's go back to Colette Kennedy for a more detailed look at the forecast. And Colette, a nice sunny day on tap to end the work week.
Yeah, nice to end the week, the work week, school week, everything with some sunshine on a Friday. I mean, it's already Friday and that feels good, but to have those kinds of conditions is going to be pretty nice for us. So then we go into the weekend and things change up. It's sort of Saturday, more cloud cover, a few spotty showers and cool. But then Sunday, we're going to find we get the sun coming back and the temperatures soaring. I'm not saying you can't make outdoor plans for Saturday because it's not going to be that wet, but just I think the more pleasant day is going to be Sunday, that second half of the weekend. Just looking through the overnight hours, although a few spotty showers even lingering early tomorrow morning towards the nation's capital, over towards Cornwall, even the risk into Brockville. Primarily, you'll get into sunshine even there too, but we're definitely going to be seeing it around the Golden Horseshoe into southwestern Ontario until you see this here. I've stopped this at 6 p.m. tomorrow. So the clouds will push in the later afternoon hours and really thicken up. A lot of that shower activity is just kind of along the line here of that international border. So some of it may stay kind of just south of Windsor, Point Pelee getting wet, though eventually in there, and everything taking over with some showers into southwestern Ontario. But all the way by noon on Saturday, getting improvement there. So it's kind of in those hours where it's not as big a deal, sort of overnight Friday into early Saturday. Now, some of those showers you can see coming through the Toronto area and the GTA and then pushing into eastern Ontario. But even there, we'll see improvement for the latter part of the day on Saturday. So early and then late, it's just kind of midday where we have some of those wetter conditions. Clear skies tonight. That's going to allow that temperature to fall to 1 for your overnight low, but 4 for Windsor. But London, that's the cool spot. And then a look around from St. Catharines to Oshawa. 2 to 3 degrees for those temperatures. Yeah, they can kind of fall off with the clear skies and no blanket of cloud to allow for any kind of insulation and holding in any daytime heating. Up to 14 for us on Friday. And then there you go, Saturday. We'll get improvement. Just hang in there and wait for it. And then really you'll be able to enjoy it into Sunday. And there are going to be parts of the province where we're into the 20s. It is going to feel cooler closer to the lakeshore because of the breeze coming off the lake, but pretty good looking end to the weekend. Then Monday, hey, we're into the next system and those rain showers. In fact, Sunday night into Monday, we'll see those developing and the temperature beginning to.
Finally tonight, the Raptors may be down 3 in their first round playoff series against the Sixers, but win or lose, the people of Rexdale have an extra special reason to be proud of the team this year. Delano Banton went from riding the number 45 Kipling bus to becoming the first Canadian-born player to suit up for the team. Today, Greg Ross went to Rexdale to ride that 45 bus, and he brought along someone else who got his start in Rexdale.
It's a sight people in Rexdale don't see every day.
Wait, what's happening?
That's Raptor superfan Nav Bhatia waiting for a bus.
Yo, Nav. I'm good, brother. I'm good. How are you? Good.
But not just any bus. That's the 45 Kipling bus that runs right through Rexdale. It's the bus that Raptors forward and Rexdale native Delano Banton took regularly as a kid. It's also the inspiration behind his decision to wear number 45 on his Raptors jersey.
I wanted to do something to represent, myself and where I come from. And, I feel like that was just a part of my journey. I'm taking that bus every day to school, taking it from one of the first stops to the last stop.
If anyone on the bus with us today didn't know the story about Banton, well, they do now. Superfan made sure of that.
Dadalo Brampton, he wears number 45.
Always Ahmed is from Rexdale, and he's a Raptors fan. He's heard the stories about Banton riding the 45 Kipling bus, sometimes for as long as 40 minutes to get to the subway.
I go to the Kipling station too, like Delano.
It was a pleasant surprise for Ahmed to meet Superfan, wear his championship ring, and find out that he too has a connection to Rexdale.
I became a car salesman in '84, right here on Rexdale Boulevard.
Yeah, senior.
Rexdale Hyundai.
It was one of Batia's first jobs after arriving in Canada, and he rode buses just like this one before landing that job.
I went to like 300 interviews for the first 2-3 months, and I was in the buses. I used to take the bus and the subways and all that.
Back then, he would have never dreamed that one day other people on the bus would be asking him for an autograph or to have their picture taken with him.
It's inspiring for young kids, and the people who are coming to this country, that they can do anything.
He's a great inspiration for everybody.
Brampton! Let's go, Brampton! Let's go, Brampton!
And as someone who got his start in Rexdale, Batia says he can't be prouder to see Banton representing the community by wearing number 45.
That tells me that he aligns himself with the community, where he came from. Yeah. He's proud of that. 1, 2, 3. We got more! We got more!
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night.